Hey guys, my name's Rowan, your spiritual big sis here, and I would like to make something make sense today because I feel like we need to have something make sense. You know what I mean? So I picked a doozy. I want to talk about the Matrix. I want to talk about how this works, how it's set up, who done it, all of that. So we got to rewind a long, long time ago. This is gonna get weird real fast, so just hang on to your pants, okay? So, back when Earth was being created, back when Earth had been created for quite a while, she was chilling. Everything was fine. There was a couple high vibrational civilizations that had lived here for a while, namely Atlantis and always forget the other one, Lumeria. So these these places were vibing. They were having a good time creating technology, experiencing stuff, working on Mother Earth, whatever. And then come the controllers, the dark ones, the overlords, whatever you want to call them. We can just kind of skip through a lot of these details in the beginning because there's so many details. I can do a chapter on every single portion of this. But so essentially a dark race of aliens came down onto the planet and started coercing the humans into, let's say, working with them. They used manipulation tactics and like trickery. Um, they've been using dark magic since the beginning. But they used all kinds of tactics to get in with powerful humans, essentially, because humans were alive during the time of Atlantis and Lemuria. They kind of intersected. They all did. So then these dark ones descended on the planet, landed, and they were like, all right, now we got to get in with all the homies. We got to get some footing here. We got to make sure that we can stay here for a long time and fuck with these guys for eternity. They had a plan. They had a very well thought out plan, and they were going to execute. You got a little bee friend on me. Hi, bee. Not a real flower. Bye. He thought I was a flower. Honestly, that's kind of cool, low key. Um, okay. So, anyways, where was I? Distraction techniques. Be careful for those. So, bad guys came in. Bad guys were like, all right, we got to get away to get in a foothold. And they needed like a literal physical foothold. So, they used humans. And that gets really complicated and really dicey really quickly. But like I said, we're skimming here. We're making things make a little bit more sense, not all the sense, because that's too much in one day. We'll take it easy. So that worked. They sent all kinds of nasty things all over the planet, and those things infiltrated and integrated, mated, and created with humans. Okay, humans didn't really know what was going on at the time. They were being fooled. So, as we still are. Weird. So, then what they did, this is the fucked up part. Ready? They used us to create a machine that would enslave us for eternity and continue to recycle our souls back into that machine so they could keep using us for eternity. Another thing that's important to know about these beings, the overlords, is that they are quite literally powerless. So when you're talking about power, you're talking about energy, the ability to manifest, to bring spirit or nothingness into form. The only creature that has the ability to do that is God, the Creator. All of the beings, the souls that were created in the beginning, had this ability. But then they began to fall when they decided that they would rather be alone and create their own thing outside of what God had created, that it became so. And in becoming so, we have the dark ones, all the demonic creatures that exist. They all come from the same place of having forgotten what they are and pretending that they are alone in the universe. They disconnect themselves from the overall energy flow that would otherwise be accessible to them. So, in this way, they are not able to create anything. So, what they must do instead is steal. Now, whose energy, whose creation ability did they steal, might you ask? Well, I'll give you a hint. You're looking at one. You're existing as one. You're probably sitting next to one, and there's more around you. Humans. You got it right. Good job. 10 points for you. 10 points for Hufflepuff. Gryffindor. So, it's important to understand that little piece about their capacity. That is what makes a dark one, is the fact that it's given away its creatorship, its godliness, in exchange for nothingness, in exchange for emptiness, and to be alone in the pursuit of creation without connection. Okay? Now, they drop down with the intention of stealing energy from those who can create energy. Energy harvesting, if you will. You've probably heard of that. So they do so. They create connections, deep connections with all of the most powerful bloodlines on the planet in all humans and systematically destroy Lumeria and Atlantis at the same time. So those civilizations fall. The humans no longer have the support of the light beings that were on the planet to help them. And the dark ones are the only ones they have contact with now. And the dark ones, being manipulative and poo-poo heads like they are, they've been telling the humans that they were the same as the Lumerians and the Atlanteans the whole time. So the humans are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. You guys are the same. Because the other aliens that they were experiencing were actually good guys. So they get down and dirty and do all kinds of bad business with the humans. And yeah, from there, it's a wrap. But from what you need to understand is that they created the Matrix through humans, okay? It was through the humans that were alive on the planet at the time of the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria who had the technology to shape the creations of planet Earth. Humans are the ones that have that capacity. Okay, guys? Our DNA holds the keys. So they had to get control of our DNA. They blended their DNA with our DNA so that we would have that worship gene. That worship gene is essentially just a gene that makes us want to worship a god. And in this case, that is the same thing as outsourcing your energy. So what are you doing at that point? You are creating an energy for another being. I'm just saying, that's what's happening. So they got the humans to create for them the Matrix. Now, what is the Matrix, you might ask? It's kind of hard to explain, all right, but I'm going to do my best. The Matrix is the upside down. So everything that is truth, they just wove it upside down. So that is their reality. The Matrix is their reality. So mixed with machinery that's harvesting our energy specifically. But they essentially use all kinds of very advanced spiritual technology to create hooks, holds, and devices that siphon your spiritual energy, your emotional energy, in order to create their hold over you and then to feed them. So the whole matrix is just a machine that's harvesting your energy, and also then looping back around and making sure that it continues to be harvested. But they use our consciousness, our bodies, our creation ability to uphold and continue the matrix. So it would not exist if it were not for us. If we did not feed into it, it would collapse because it only exists through us. So when you're doing ancestral work, when you're doing shadow work, when you're doing work like this, you are crumbling and toppling the matrix as we speak because it is upheld in every single one of us. Every single person that resonates with this will understand to some degree that they are a part of this process, that you are responsible for some piece of this entire puzzle. And it's unfortunate to understand that we've been manipulated in this way, but it's also important to understand that we chose all of this for some reason. The reason will be revealed to us in due time. But yeah, so it is the upside down. Everything that feels backwards, everything that feels wrong, everything that feels heavy, everything that feels sad, everything that feels broken, everything that feels inaccurate, all of that is probably stemming from a matrix program. So if you're in a relationship, in a situation, in a job, in a experience where you feel and you know that something is wrong, you're probably right. You're probably right. And also, when you have heavy feelings, heavy emotions, those emotions are indicating that you're wrong. That whatever you've just told yourself, whatever programming your brain is running on in that moment is wrong, is inaccurate. Your feelings are a compass to lead you back home. That's one of the tools that God left himself to traverse this dangerous universe and be able to get back. So, what I would love for you to hear in the story is that God always has been and always will be in control. And we are God. Every single one of us that has a soul, every person, every being that is of the light is God. And even in the darkness is still God. It's just a piece of God that's forgotten that it was God. And so it's acting like the opposite of God. And that creates a lot of texture in the universe, a lot of contrast, a lot of things for the light side of God to learn from and experience. So there's a reason for all of it, an important reason for all of it. And we need to understand that this is a game we've been playing with ourselves for a reason for a very long time. And it's about to get really good. So stay tuned. I hope you guys liked that. If you did, like and follow for more. Okay, bye.